What is going on YouTube? Another video coming at you from the Washington Football Report. This is JD. Before I dive into this, I want to ask you to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get videos like this all the time, and also hit the like button and follow me on Twitter and Sided. Both those websites or apps, I should say. I post content on there all the time. You get videos. If you miss something on here, you'll get content on there. I share stuff as well. There's other podcasts I share on there. So without further ado, let's get into the content of the video. Basically, I want to do a video kind of like going over the possibility of Washington being able to repeat as NFC East champs. It has not been done in a long time. Let me adjust myself here. Has not been done in a long time. Washington won the division last year, obviously. Can they repeat? And like I said, it has been done a long time, like 10 years, over a decade. It's very difficult to repeat in this division because either all the teams are good or all the teams they go through they're bad at sometimes. So I'm going to go over kind of some reasons why I think Washington will repeat. First thing I want to go over is how the season teams ended last year. Washington and the Giants ended on good notes. They ended on winning a game or two. They had positive records, or not positive records, but they're encouraging records. Let me rephrase that. Eagles were just complete garbage, and the Cowboys hung on to be competitive, but in the end, they just were also complete garbage. So, where that puts Washington, let's go to the next part. So what are we adding to the offseason? Okay, what did teams add? Probably the biggest acquisition in our division was the Cowboys signing Dak Prescott, just retaining him, get him on the team. It's a big acquisition. It's a plus and a minus to it. The plus side is, you got Dak Prescott, you got your franchise quarterback. The minus part, though, is he's getting paid a lot of money, and it's going to hinder their ability to build a defense. And I don't think their offense is good enough to win them games. They didn't do it last year. They were 1-3 with that strategy. I think their defense could be better. The second offseason acquisition that the Cowboys had was Dan Quinn. And then they have some guys that have just coming off of injury, so you don't know how they're going to be. But none of them were elite talents. So Dan Quinn's probably one of the biggest acquisitions because if he's in any way, shape, or form an improvement on the defensive coordinator last year, they're going to compete. They're going to have a chance to win the division, and they're going to be a competitive team. Let's look at the Eagles. Eagles are not the greatest team. They lost. It's kind of weird because of all the teams last year, Washington, the Giants, and the Cowboys all had brand new coaches. And all three of them seem to have done better than the Eagles, who had a coach, had an established quarterback, had established almost everything. Maybe there's little injuries here and there, but ended up being the worst team in the division, by far. And I don't see they've done much. They've got rid of Carson Wentz. I guess you can call that a plus, but they got a new coach. So we don't know how that's going to work out. I think there's controversy about Jalen Hurts. So they haven't really added too much that I would say is solid. And they could also lose. They have Zach Ertz on the trading block. They could lose him. They could cut him. So then they're just losing more of their players. I just don't see them as a true competition for the NFC East. And then you have the Giants. The Giants acquired Kenny Galladay. I think it was I cannot remember this corner's name. It's Jackson, Dory Jackson, something like that. And I think they got a defensive lineman, and they got a linebacker from us, Ryan Anderson. So they've done some things to make themselves better, but I don't think any of them have done anything compared to what Washington's done. Washington won the division, okay, and with 4 different quarterbacks. Now we actually have a solid quarterback and a solid backup to back him up. So either one of them can start, and I'm pretty confident in Heinicke and in Fitzpatrick. Okay, some fun, interesting facts about Fitzpatrick. I actually went back and took the time to look at all last 16 games he started. And the last 16 games he started, he's got 4,256 passing yards, 24 touchdowns or 25 touchdowns, and he's also got 13 interceptions, but there's another 320 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So as a quarterback, his last 16 starts, and this is not even counting games where he came in off the bench, like when he was in Miami the first year he got there 2 years ago, and they started Josh Rosen, and he came off the bench a couple games and put up 400 passing yards and 3 touchdowns and just lit it up. So it's not even counting those. It's just counting games that he physically was like named the starter and he started the first snap from beginning to end. And if Washington has that kind of production, we're gonna have a good season, because right now Washington, last year Washington had 16 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, so not good production there. And we also had about 3,200 passing yards, which 3,200 is not bad, but it's not great either. So we had a lot of deficiencies at the quarterback position, and I think we've solved that. On top of that being solved, we've added weapons at the receiving core. Prior to adding any weapons, and I'm going to reiterate on something I talked about earlier, is I didn't want Patrick. I didn't want Patrick. I'm bluntly honest with that. I'm not saying I called this and I'm so great about it. I think he'll do okay, but I wanted Sam Darnold. I want a young talent. It wouldn't have been cheap this year. It'd been $4 million, but we also could have, had him, give him a year to give him a chance. And if he sucks, we're gonna have a high draft pick. If he's good, we're gonna have a franchise quarterback. I think it was a no lose scenario in that. And that was what I wanted, because if you add Sam Darnold to the roster we had before any of our free agent signings, before any of them, he had his best receiver he's ever played with, McLaurin. He had best tight end he's ever played with. And I can't honestly say the best running back he's ever played with, because I think Le'Veon Bell is actually a very good running back. I think the team he was on, but he also was playing with one of the best offensive lines he's ever played with. So there's a lot of reasons as to why I would sit here and say that adding him to this team would have been very good for his for Sam Darnold for his career. Now that the Jets are acquiring talent and getting good talent, they're kind of reluctant to get rid of him now, because of all the talent they've acquired. It looks like a lot better. Things look better around him, so it's going to make him flourish. And that's what I thought Washington was. Washington was a better combination of talent that they really could have used to just improve everything. But regardless, moving on. So then you got to add in our two receivers we added. We added Curtis Samuel, who runs a 4.3 40, and Adam Humphries, who's a good slot receiver. He's kind of like your Wes Welker, Julian Edelman types. Really what those two add to our team. I got to say this too, by the way. Every time I make a prediction, we do the opposite. I predicted we would trade, and I said I didn't want Fitzpatrick or Cam Newton. We got Fitzpatrick. I said not that I didn't want Curtis Samuel, but I preferred Kenny Galladay over Curtis Samuel, because he's another number one. He's going to draw way more attention away from McLaurin, and McLaurin can shine that way. Not that Samuel can't do that, but it's a different way. It's just by giving him space, because they have to play back so far because you have two deep threats. And then I wanted N'Keal Harry, traded from the Patriots. Could have been a number 3 receiver with McLaurin and Samuel being 1 and 2. And he'd been a third receiver who can play him at the split rather than getting Humphries. But now Humphries, like I said, it's a potato. I did not want Humphries. It's just wanted N'Keal Harry more. And the reason why is if you put him out wide, he's the third receiver. You have your slot receiver in Samuel, tight end, and then McLaurin. Okay, I think that's a better balance. But with Samuel, you can still do a lot of things with him at the split. You can still run in the backfield. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Humphries is good because he can go over the middle more. He'll do that more often. So acquiring those two has made our offense significantly better than it was last year. So we fixed our receiving core off our problem and our quarterback problem temporarily. And then the last thing we did is we added to our secondary. We added to our secondary Will Jackson III, who's a solid player. He's a top 10 receiver, shutdown corner. He'll play out team's number 1, and he's an upgrade from Darby. We did lose Darby in free agency, but this is a significant upgrade. The upgrade that we added is by far a better upgrade than what we had at the corner position. Darby was like an 8. This is like a 9.5, like almost a 10. We added depth. Darryl Rogers, he'll play good as a 4. The only thing we haven't done really is mess with the linebacking core, and we have messed with the safety position. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we haven't messed with those two positions yet, but we have the draft coming up. So I think we're going to draft at least 1 linebacker, maybe 2. We might have a plan with Landon Collins playing linebacker. I have no clue. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. But I think our offseason acquisitions were more abundant, and they were more higher power. There's more firepower in that. There's still more to come. We have about $19 million in cap space, so there's still more stuff to come where Washington can add more and more pieces. And I'll be honest, when it comes to free agency, I trust Ron. If you look at his offseason acquisitions, I can go through every one of his offseason or his signings last year, and they all panned out fantastically. Let's just start with the defense. We signed Ronald Darby, panned out well. Kendall Fuller, panned out pretty well. We signed offensively, quarterback. He signed Taylor Heineke. He also traded for Kyle Allen. Now those aren't exactly like the greatest, but they were decent backups. Excuse me. I've been up since 6. It's been a long morning. It's 11:50 right now. So you have those guys. You have running back J.D. McKissick, Peyton Barber. We acquired both of them. Cornelius Lucas, Wes Schweitzer. We acquired both of them. Did we acquire any receivers? I don't think we acquired any receivers. But all the guys that he signed, the only one didn't really pan out was Sean Davis, but I think they wanted to figure out what they had in Troy Apke and Cameron Curl. And that's not even talking about the draft. The draft, I predicted a lot of what we did in the draft, but went out and got Antonio Gibson and was not on my radar, and he ended up being fantastic. And then we went out and got Cameron Curl in the 7th round, which was not even on my radar as well, and he was a fantastic player. So you have all these things that add up to Washington has some pretty good opportunities. They made some pretty, and I trust Ron in the draft. I trust Ron in his player personnel decisions. So let's look at the NFC East and break it down. Who has the best offense? Well, we don't really know how offense is going to look, so I can't be fair on that, but I do think we'll be better than Eagles. I don't think Daniel Jones is. I don't think he's the answer. The Giants kind of have the same question that we had last year. This year, our question was Haskins the guy? Daniel Jones may be the guy, but he's turnover prone, didn't get the ball. So they added a receiver. They've added a lot of things to that team to make them a little bit better to see if he is the guy. So if he's not the guy, they can move on really quickly. If he is the guy, more power to him. Cowboys don't have a defense. They might be better in defense, but that doesn't mean it's a good defense. Okay, still same personnel. You can't magically coach tackling. You can't magically coach skill. You have to coach scheme. And I don't really think the scheme with Dallas was horrible. They just couldn't do anything. They just weren't very good. The talent was lacking with Dallas. So so best. I got off topic there for a second. Best quarterback in the division is definitely Dak, but I don't think Jalen Hurts has been proven. And I have to say Ryan Fitzpatrick is a little bit better than Daniel Jones. He's got a better track record. He's been a very efficient quarterback the last few years. So we have second best quarterback in the division. So let's rate offensive line. Obviously, Dallas has the best offensive line, but I think Washington's got a good one too. We're like top 12. So offensive line with the Eagles is not very good, and the Giants, it's pretty on par with ours. I think it's pretty decent. Receiving core, we got a pretty good receiving core, but the best is Dallas's. So Dallas has the best offense, but the biggest fall off is their defense. The best defense in the division is by far Washington. Dallas's defense is going to be better because of Dan Quinn, but not going to be good. The Giants' defense will be better because they've added better talent, and I think actually Joe Judge is a pretty good coach. Eagles don't have a good defense. They do not. They do not have good talent at all in defense. You have aging talent and a lot of assets that cost a lot of money, so that's kind of the problem right now, and they're in cap hell. And then Washington's got the second best defensive line in the league, and we've just added to the secondary to make it better. And we're not even done. I still think we're going to grab a linebacker and make that part better. So we have the best defense. I think Giants have second best defense, and I will give Dallas the benefit of the doubt and give them the third. So right now, Dallas looks like they have the best offense. We have the best tight end. I'll give us that. I think we have the best tight end in the division. That is unless Zach Ertz gets retained, but they're looking to trade him. He's on the trading block right now. Who has the best defense? Who has the best head coach? It's not Mike McCarthy. You could say he's the only coach in the division that has a Super Bowl. You can say that if you want to. Fine. He's the only coach in the division that has a Super Bowl. But he's proven last year that he's not a very good coach. He's proven that he doesn't know how to adapt to the modern NFL. He does a lot of old school stuff. He makes some bad decisions. And really, I think the defensive coordinator, I think his name was Mike McCoy, is this scapegoat. He's a scapegoat, and it was a way for Mike McCarthy to save his job. Um, and then you got to look at the new coach for the Eagles, which I don't even know his name. So he's definitely not the best coach in the division yet. And you got to look at Ron Rivera and Joe Judge. I think Joe Judge is a very good coach. I think he's done a lot of things. He's turned them around. He's made them not look sloppy. They look like they're a football team. There's a couple games that if they just ball would have bounced a different way, they'd have won very easily. I wouldn't say easily, but they would have won. They would have definitely won. They beat us twice. I think Ron made some bad decisions in those games. Won't harp on it too much, but I think Ron is the better coach. Ron came in without an offseason, which so did Joe Judge, but he added talent that were very effectively used. The defense got better as the year progressed, so he's shown the ability to adapt. I think the Giants were the same all year long. They didn't really grow. They didn't really progress on anything. He had Giants had the same quarterback all year, and they still couldn't win the division. We had to go through 4 different quarterbacks. So I think Ron is the better coach overall. So what it adds up to is, you know what, if the Dallas Cowboys offense can put up 6,000 yards this season, or at least passing yards this season, and maybe a couple, like 2,000 rushing yards, you might be able to outshoot teams, but I don't think you have the case. In the NFL, you can't win games with shootouts. It doesn't happen often enough that you need to build your team around that philosophy. You have to have a defense. Eventually your offense is going to sputter. Someone's going to figure you out. Look at the Steelers last year. Steelers last year were a prime example of what Dallas could be this year. The first 10 games, Steelers were lights out. They lights out on defense, lights out on offense. The defense had given up some stinkers, and the offense had scored a lot of points early and then sputtered. And then Dallas figured them out. Dallas almost beat them, figured them out. Ravens implemented some of the strategy to beat them. Washington implemented it perfectly and stomped them. And then everyone after that played the exact same strategy. That their defense, here's how you attack their defense, and here's how you attack their offense, and you can take away their entire offensive strategy by doing this one thing. And that's what happened. And then the Steelers never adapted to that. Why they would sign back Ben after knowing his biggest flaw exposed, don't know. That's not my team. I don't really care. But regardless of that, got to be able to adapt. Got to be able to improve, and you got to be able to do those things. I think Washington has added enough things that not only they were favored, they were champ, but they're favored now. And like I said, we still have the draft. For all we know in the draft, we trade up for a franchise quarterback, and we get a good linebacker and a good free safety, and then we're trucking. We're ready to go. So I think Washington has a good chance to win this division. Like I said, the only thing I think that could happen is it's possible that the Cowboys have the most explosive offense ever in NFL history, or it's possible that the Giants kind of just build off their success because like I said, Joe Judge is a good coach, so he's not going to sit there and let them keep losing games by 1 or 2 points. They're going to win more of those games this year. But Washington's also going to be a lot better. Our defense was firing on all cylinders at the end of the year. We were able to move the football pretty consistently. We just happened to play a lot better as a team, and we were a unified team at the end of the year. I think any team you put against us, we would have given them a run for their money, and that's when you know you have a good team on your hands. And that's when you know you're well coached as well because you have an opportunity to win every game. Not every team goes in every game with an opportunity to win. I mean, let me phrase it. Everyone does, but you don't. Sometimes everything has to go perfect for some teams to win. I don't think everything has to go perfect for Washington. Washington had a pick. They had a fumble. They got down early, and they still were within 5 points of beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 4 minutes left to go in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. With a quarterback that Taylor Heinicke is 6 feet tall, never really played that much in the NFL. So you got to chalk up the coaching, and I think coaching and defense are going to be the 2 main things. And if you have an offense that can kind of put points up when you need it, I think Fitzpatrick can do that. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Like I said, I'm trying to do a lot of things. I'm going to be on the 26th. I think it's the 26th. I will be on a collaboration video with another YouTube channel. The YouTuber's name is Corey Sanchez. But the YouTube channel is called On the Warpath, and I highly recommend you go check them out. I would love to do live streams and stuff to answer questions, have interviews, things like that. I have not hit enough views to do that. So if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. If I get to that, I can add a lot more different kinds of content other than just talking at a screen or talking at a blank screen, or just showing a football draft, mock draft, or whatever. I can actually do interviews. I can actually get people on and get special guests. Yeah, that's it. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Sided. It's a sports debate app. Really enjoy it. And that's it. Hail to the Redskins. Thank you for watching. See ya.